First contact. The twin moons of Caelthera cast their ethereal glow across the untouched wilderness as the Endeavour's massive hull broke through the crystalline atmosphere. Engineer Lyra Hale pressed her palm against the observation deck's viewport, watching the bioluminescent forests pulse like a living heartbeat below. Never in her 12 years of deep space exploration had she witnessed such pristine beauty. Atmospheric composition is perfect, reported Chief Science Officer Marcus Voss, his weathered face illuminated by holographic displays. Oxygen levels at 22%, nitrogen at 76%. We could breathe this air without filtration. Captain Zara Okafor stood rigid at the command center, her dark eyes scanning the verdant landscape with military precision. Something feels wrong about this place, she muttered, though she couldn't articulate why. Deploy the preliminary survey drones before we make landfall. The first wave of reconnaissance drones launched smoothly, their sleek forms disappearing into the canopy below. Within minutes, however, their signals began flickering erratically. One by one, they vanished from the tracking grid entirely. Technical malfunction? Asked Dr. Kai Nakamura, the expedition's xenobiologist, his fingers dancing across diagnostic interfaces. All systems show green, Lyra replied, her engineering instincts prickling with unease. These drones are military grade. They don't just disappear. As the Endeavour descended toward a clearing beside a grove of towering luminescent trees, the ship's advanced sensors detected no signs of intelligent life. No cities, no technology, no electromagnetic signatures, just endless wilderness stretching beyond the horizon. Yet something felt profoundly wrong. The landing sequence proceeded without incident, but as the engines powered down, a strange silence fell over the crew. The usual post-landing chatter died away as every person aboard felt an inexplicable sensation of being observed. Security Chief Garrett Stone instinctively reached for his sidearm, scanning the pristine landscape through the ship's external cameras. "I don't see anything," he reported, though his voice carried an edge of tension. "But my gut says we're not alone." Lyra was the first to step onto the emerald soil, her boots sinking slightly into ground that seemed to pulse with subtle vibrations. The air was sweet with unfamiliar fragrances, and the bioluminescent flora created an otherworldly ambience that made her feel both wonder and profound unease. "Beautiful," whispered Dr. Nakamura as he joined her outside, his scientific instruments already humming with activity. "The biodiversity readings are off the charts. This ecosystem is unlike anything in our databases." But as the crew began establishing their base camp, strange phenomena manifested. Equipment malfunctioned without cause. Communications crackled with whispers in languages that didn't exist. And in the distance, shapes moved between the glowing trees, shapes that vanished whenever someone looked directly at them. Lyra felt it first as a gentle pressure against her consciousness, like fingers probing the edges of her thoughts. She dismissed it as exhaustion from the long journey, not yet understanding that Caelthera had awakened to their presence, and the planet itself was beginning to speak. The Awakening. 3 days into the mission, the whispers became impossible to ignore. Lyra found herself drawn to the perimeter of their camp, where the bioluminescent forest began its ancient dance of light and shadow. The voices weren't audible. They resonated directly within her mind, speaking in harmonies that bypassed language. "Entirely. Welcome, children of the distant stars. We have waited long for your arrival. Did anyone else hear that?" she called out. But her crewmates continued their work, apparently oblivious to the mental communication. Dr. Nakamura was documenting extraordinary plant specimens that seemed to respond to his presence, their luminescence shifting in patterns that almost resembled communication. "These organisms display unprecedented sensitivity to consciousness," he reported during their evening briefing. "It's as if they're aware of our thoughts." Captain Okafor's expression darkened. "Explain." "The bioluminescent patterns change based on proximity to crew members. Different individuals trigger different responses. It's almost like the plants are reading us." Security Chief Stone shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, I've been seeing movement in the tree line. Nothing concrete, but my senses can't get a lock on. Whatever's out there, it's like the jungle is camouflaging itself." Marcus Voss pulled up his geological surveys, his face pale. "There's something else. The planet's core readings are unlike anything we've encountered. The magnetic field fluctuations suggest the entire planet is active. Not just geologically, I mean consciously active." That night, Lyra ventured beyond the camp's perimeter, despite strict orders to remain within the safety zone. The forest seemed to part before her, creating a natural pathway illuminated by increasingly intense bioluminescence. With each step deeper into the alien wilderness, the mental whispers grew stronger, more coherent. "You are the one who builds, who creates, who mends what is broken. We have need of such gifts." Images flooded her consciousness, visions of a civilization that had transcended physical form, becoming one with their world. The beings of Kael'thera had evolved beyond flesh and bone, merging their consciousness with the planet's biosphere itself. They were the trees, the soil, the very air she breathed. "Your species stands at a crossroads. We see the paths before you. Some lead to harmony, others to destruction. Help us understand your intentions, bridge builder." When she returned to camp, hours later, Lyra found her crewmates in heated discussion. Equipment failures had escalated throughout the night. The ship's main computer had begun displaying impossible data, mathematical equations that solved themselves, star maps of unexplored regions, and most disturbing of all, detailed psychological profiles of each crew member. "Something is scanning us," Captain Okafor declared grimly. "Our technology, our minds, our very souls. We need to consider evacuation." But Lyra knew it was too late for that. The planet had chosen her as its interpreter, and she could feel the weight of an ancient intelligence pressing against her consciousness, eager to share secrets that could transform humanity's understanding of life itself. The revelation, Lyra's secret communion with Kael'thera's consciousness, deepened over the following days, each encounter revealing more of the planet's incredible nature. During a routine maintenance check on the ship's external sensors, she experienced her most profound contact yet. "Show me your world, bridge builder. Show me the sphere of water and stone from which you came." Without conscious thought, Lyra found herself projecting memories of Earth, its blue oceans, sprawling cities, the delicate dance of technology and nature that humanity had never quite mastered. The planetary consciousness absorbed these images with fascination and growing concern. "Your kind builds much but preserves little. You consume your world's gifts without understanding their sacred nature, yet within you burns the spark of creation that we have lost." The revelation hit Lyra like a physical blow. This paradise world was dying despite its apparent vitality. The bioluminescent forests, the responsive ecosystem, the very consciousness that spoke to her, all of it was the planet's immune system desperately trying to preserve itself after its native species had transcended physical existence, leaving behind only their merged consciousness. We achieved perfect harmony by abandoning our bodies, becoming one with Kael'thera's biosphere. But in doing so, we lost the ability to create, to build, to shape matter with our hands. We can only maintain what exists, never birth what is new. Meanwhile, the crew's situation deteriorated rapidly. Chief Science Officer Marcus Voss reported that their equipment had begun operating beyond its designed parameters, somehow enhanced by exposure to the planet's energy fields. Dr. Nakamura's biological samples were exhibiting impossible properties. Plants that generated their own gravity, fields, fungi that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "This place is rewriting the laws of physics," Marcus announced during an emergency briefing. "Our instruments are measuring phenomena that shouldn't exist." Security Chief Stone had more immediate concerns. "Sir, I've been tracking the movement, patterns around our perimeter. Whatever's out there is getting bolder. We found footprints this morning, if you can call them that. They looked almost human, but they dissolved when we tried to cast them." Captain Okafor's patience was wearing thin. "Recommendations: we evacuate immediately," Stone replied without hesitation. "This place is affecting us in ways we don't understand." But Dr. Nakamura disagreed. "Captain, we're on the verge of the greatest scientific discovery in human history. These organisms have achieved conscious evolution. They've transcended natural selection itself." That evening, Lyra made a decision that would change everything. She shared her secret with the crew, revealing her communication with the planetary consciousness. The reaction was explosive. Accusations of mental contamination, demands for psychological evaluation, and heated debates about the nature of consciousness itself. "They fear what they cannot understand," the planet's voice whispered in her mind. "But you see the truth, Bridge Builder. Your species and mine need each other. We offer knowledge beyond your comprehension, and you possess the gift of creation we have lost." Through Lyra, the consciousness made its first direct contact with the entire crew, speaking through the ship's communication systems in a voice that resonated with otherworldly beauty. The message was simple but profound. Humanity had found not just a new world, but a new form of life that could teach them to transcend their destructive nature while preserving their creative essence. The choice. The planetary consciousness revealed its true purpose to the assembled crew through Lyra's translation, each word carrying the weight of eons. Captain Okafor stood rigid as the alien intelligence spoke through their communication systems, her military training warring with the impossibility of the situation. For millennia, we have watched civilizations rise and fall across the galaxy. Most follow the same pattern: rapid expansion, resource depletion, extinction. But your species shows a different potential. You build, you adapt, you preserve beauty even as you consume. This is why we called you here. Dr. Nakamura leaned forward, his scientific curiosity overriding his fear. "Called us? You're saying our discovery of this world wasn't random?" "Nothing in the cosmos is random, seeker of knowledge. We have been guiding your exploration vessels, creating the quantum fluctuations that led your navigation systems to us. Kyle Tira chose you as we chose your engineer to be our voice." Security Chief Stone's hand remained on his weapon. "What do you want from us?" The response came not in words, but in visions that flooded every crew member's consciousness simultaneously. They saw the history of Kyle Thira's civilization, a species that had achieved perfect harmony with their world by merging their consciousness with its biosphere. But the cost had been their ability to create, to build, to shape matter with intention and will. We became one with our world to save it from ecological collapse. In doing so, we preserved Kyle Thira's life, but lost our own ability to evolve further. We can maintain, but we cannot create. We can preserve, but we cannot grow. Marcus Voss, analyzing the data streams flowing through their enhanced equipment, made a startling discovery. "Captain, our technology is being integrated with theirs. The ship's systems are operating at efficiency levels that should be impossible. It's like they're teaching our machines to think. Your technology and ours can merge without losing what makes each unique. Your creativity, our wisdom, your drive to build, our knowledge of preservation. Together, we can create something neither could achieve alone. The offer was unprecedented, a partnership between humanity and a planet-sized consciousness. The crew would serve as Kyle-Thera's hands in the physical world, using enhanced technology to build and create, while the planetary intelligence provided knowledge gathered across geological ages. Captain Okafor's voice was steady, despite the enormity of the decision. What would this partnership require? Some of your people would remain here, becoming our partners in a new form of civilization. Others would return to your worlds, carrying our gifts and spreading the knowledge of harmony between consciousness and creation. Your species would never again face the choice between growth and preservation, but the decision wasn't without risk. The consciousness warned that the integration process would fundamentally change those who chose to remain, not into bodiless spirits like Kyle-Thera's original inhabitants, but into something new, beings who could exist in both physical and consciousness-merged states. Lyra felt the weight of the choice pressing against her mind. She had become the bridge between two forms of life, and her decision would influence the entire crew. The planet's voice whispered gently in her thoughts, offering visions of humanity's potential future. Cities that grew like living things, technology that preserved rather than consumed, a species that could expand across the galaxy without leaving destruction in its wake. The new dawn. The crew of the Endeavour faced the most significant decision in human history. After 3 days of intense deliberation, they reached a unanimous conclusion that would reshape humanity's destiny. Captain Okafor spoke for the entire crew. We accept the partnership, but with conditions. We need to establish protocols for communication with Earth, ensure the safety of those who choose to remain, and create a framework for the gradual integration of our species. Wisdom guides your words, guardian of your people. These conditions show the very balance we seek, growth tempered by caution, progress guided by preservation. Lyra volunteered to be the first to undergo the integration process, her role as bridge builder making her the natural choice. The transformation occurred in the heart of the bioluminescent forest, where the planet's consciousness was strongest. She didn't lose her humanity but gained something profound, the ability to perceive the interconnected web of life that spanned entire worlds. I can feel everything, she whispered to her crewmates afterward, her eyes now carrying flecks of the same luminescence that danced through the forest. Every plant, every microorganism, the planet's entire biosphere, it's all connected, all aware, but I'm still me, still human. Dr. Nakamura chose to remain as well, establishing the first human Kyle-Thera research facility. His enhanced perception allowed him to document discoveries that would revolutionize human understanding of consciousness, evolution, and the nature of life itself. Working with the planetary intelligence, he began developing new biotechnologies that could heal damaged ecosystems and create sustainable civilizations. Marcus Voss returned to Earth aboard the Endeavour with Captain Okafor and Security Chief Stone, carrying enhanced technology and detailed plans for humanity's first conscious colony. The ship itself had been transformed, its systems now operating on principles that seemed to blur the line between technology and biology. Within months of their return, the first volunteer colonists arrived on Kyle-Thera. Not all chose integration. Many remained fully human while learning to work in harmony with the planetary consciousness. They established New Harmony, a city that grew rather than being built. Its structures formed from living materials that filtered air, generated energy, and provided shelter while maintaining perfect ecological balance. The partnership's effects rippled across human space. Earth's environmental crises began to resolve as Kyle-Thera enhanced technology restored damaged ecosystems. Humanity's expansion into the galaxy slowed but became more purposeful, with each new world carefully evaluated for conscious life before colonization began. Your species has chosen wisdom over conquest, harmony over domination, the planetary consciousness observed as the first generation of integrated humans began having children who could communicate with both biological and technological systems from birth. Together, we shall seed the galaxy with new forms of consciousness that preserve the beauty of creation while fostering endless growth. Lyra, now serving as humanity's first ambassador to Kael'thera, stood in the grove where she had first heard the planet's voice. The twin moons cast their eternal light on a world transformed, no longer untouched, but enhanced by the partnership between two forms of consciousness that had chosen cooperation over conquest. In the distance, the Endeavor's sister ships arrived, carrying humanity's future to the stars. But this time, they came not as conquerors, but as partners, ready to find their place in a universe far more conscious and connected than they had ever imagined possible. The green planet was no longer untouched, but it had become something greater, a bridge between species, a testament to the power of cooperation and humanity's first step toward transcending the cycle of growth and destruction that had defined their past. "The journey begins," whispered the wind through the luminescent trees, carrying the voice of a world and the promise of countless worlds yet to be discovered.